So, I've just finished reading a book.
Yay!
The book that I've just finished reading is called The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. The Rest of Us Just Live Here. And I think Patrick Ness is probably one of my favourite authors. I quite liked the Chaos Walking trilogy he did. This is one of them. It's quite a big book. So anyway, I got The Rest of Us Just Live Here for Christmas, and it's got blue pages down the side, which is quite nice. And if you take off the slip cover on the inside, it says, "Not everyone has to be the chosen one." And you put the slip cover back on again. It says, "The Rest of Us Just Live Here." That's the title. Anyway, this book is set in a world where fantasy things like vampires and werewolves and gods and things like that, they exist. But the book isn't about those characters. It's about a normal group of friends in a high school or sort of college, almost college age, who they're just living their lives in this world. You know, they have jobs, they have homework, they have issues that exist in our world, you know, but there's this other stuff going on that is the fantasy stuff. So every chapter begins with like one paragraph about what's going on with the fantasy characters, and then the whole of the rest of the chapter is about the group of friends that you're reading about. I must admit, when I first started reading this book, I kind of wished that I was reading a book about about these tiny little paragraphs of fantasy stuff, rather than these few normal people who are just going to school and doing some homework. But as the book went on, I became more and more invested in this normal group of people who have their own things going on, their own issues, and they're saying sort of everyone has a thing. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a superhero or in some sort of fantasy world or not. You've got your things that you're dealing with, regardless of that. So they're living their lives. One of them has a alcoholic parent. Another of them has an eating disorder, things like that. They're just leading their normal lives, but they've still got things going on, things that they have to deal with, their issues, things like that going on. So each of them is a little bit extraordinary anyway. And at the very end of the book, there is a little bit of a crossover in which one character who is like a god interacts with this group of people and says that he could fix things for them if they wanted. You know, he could cure their issues. Yeah, and I think that the book could have spent a bit longer on that, because that was right at the very end of the book. It only got like a couple of pages or something, and I think that's quite a big. That's quite a big conclusion point to end on. You know, if someone came along and they said they are a god and they could just click their fingers and fix your issues, make everything perfect, would you take that offer, or would you not take that offer, or what? You know, I think that's a lot more to think about than the book gave it. But yeah, it's a good book. So anyway, I finished this book today. That's about it. At the end of the day, you might not be, you know, the chosen one who has magic powers or is gonna save the world, but your things, whatever it is that you're dealing with, are important things. No, I just want to say a couple of spoilers, because it was quite a complex point, I think, to be able to just leave the book at. It was quite complex. I mean, this character comes along who is godlike, and he is able to just fix their issues if they want, you know, he has that power. And that's quite a big thing, I think, because, you know, for all this time, they've had these issues, and there's this person who can come along and just cure them, essentially, if they want that. I don't know, it just to question, you know, if you've had those issues all of this time, if someone could cure them in an instant, who would you be after that instant? Would you be the same, you know? Would you be the same you? Who would you be 10 minutes later if, poof, everything was perfect? Because that was integral to them, you know, it was them. There's another thing that I was thinking about recently is one of the characters, he had anxiety and so forth, and he was taking medication for this. But when the character who is godlike asked him, do you want me to fix that anxiety? I could just fix it. I've got that power now. He said, no, I want to work through it myself. So I don't know where you draw the line between the medication, you know, taking a pill to help you with it, and someone having the power to just be able to turn it off. Where is the line? So it's quite a personal thing, I think, for each of them. I mean, we don't know, at the end of the book, you don't actually know which ones are going to choose to be cured, which aren't, or whatever. All you know is that Michael chose not to be cured of his anxiety. We don't know if the other characters are going to be choose to be cured or not cured or whatever of their things, like eating disorder and so forth and so forth and so forth. And I imagine actually that their choices are not going to just have an impact on just them, but also on the others. I mean, let's pretend, for example, let's pretend Michael did choose to cure his anxiety, and then from then on he walked around as a human being who never had any anxiety. Would that impact on the group around him? Hanging out with someone who never feels anxious about anything? or to what extent is the cure? Like, if you were cured of something like that, is there a normal boundaries of anxiety it puts you back into? Or is it that you never feel any anxiety ever again? What would it do? For any of them, like, if you're cured of an eating disorder, you still have to eat food the next day. So how do you make your decisions about food after that day? Or are you suddenly granted the powers to eat whatever without it having any effect on your body? Just health, whatever you do, because you're cured of ever having an eating disorder in either direction, or what? But anyway, I guess that this is all hypothetical situations, because a god doesn't exist, really, you know. There's no one's gonna magically come down and click off all of your problems if you want them to or if you don't want them to. But then again, if it's it could be on a spectrum with, like I say, medication and therapy and all that. These are all sort of questions that exist, just to a lesser extent. I mean, people in the world right now do have eating disorders, and how do you decide when they are past that point? Rehabilitated, whatever. I don't know. They do have the life past then. Medication, therapy, so forth. The life past then.